Testing, testing.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Oh, I uh I know. Happy Lunar New Year. I didn't get the memo. I'm not. before it. I'm 32. I'm 32. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 5:40 p.m. and I call to order the City of Emeryville special closed session, which is being held at the Emeryville City Hall located at 13333 Park Avenue in Emeryville. Please call roll.
Thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor Solomon is participating remotely under the Just Cause exception provided under AB 2449. Councilmember Mora is absent. Councilmember Pryforce?
Here.
Councilmember Welch?
Here.
Vice Mayor Solomon?
Here.
And Mayor Carr.
Present.
I-
Oh, do
I
you
need to ask some questions to Vice Mayor Solomon. Vice Mayor Solomon, is there anyone over the age of 18 in your presence?
No.
And can you hear and see the proceedings in the room?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any ex parte communications for the items on agenda, the closed session items only? Seeing and hearing none, I will go to public comment on closed session items only. Are there any public comments online? Okay, seeing and hearing none and having no public in the room, we will proceed to closed session, which will convene in the closed session room.
Recording stopped. Recording in
Mm.
progress.
City Attorney, would you please report out of closed session?
Thank you, Mayor Carr. On the closed session agenda item closed session agenda item 5.3.1, on a motion by Vice Mayor Solomon, which was seconded by Councilmember Welch, the council approved a settlement for the claim of Nanette Dillard for the amount of $566.79 for property damage to her vehicle by a vote of 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. I now call to order the City of Emeryville regular meeting at 7:33 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mora is absent. Councilmember Pryforce?
Here.
Councilmember Welch? Here. Councilmember Solomon is absent. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Solomon is absent, and Mayor Carr.
Present. Moving to item number 3, approval of the final agenda. Is there a motion to approve the final agenda?
Motion to approve the final agenda?
Any second to approve the final agenda?
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Councilmember Welch, seconded by Councilmember Pryforce. Please call roll.
I'm sorry, Mayor, hold on a second. Vice Mayor Solomon has joined the meeting. Let me move him over so he can participate.
Heather, can you all hear me?
Yes, Matthew. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. We are taking the roll call on the approval of the final agenda. Councilmember Mora is absent. Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch? Vice Mayor Solomon?
Aye.
And Mayor Carr.
Aye. Next, we have special orders of the day, and this is a presentation by Alameda County District Attorney Jones Dickinson. Thank you so much for your patience and for being here today. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Sorry, I threw my back out, so I'm moving slowly, so you guys bear with me. All right. All right, thank you guys for having me today. I'm Ursula Jones-Dixon, Alameda County District Attorney, and I'm going to get through these slides really quickly because I know we have about 10 minutes. If we could go to the next slide, I just wanted to go over our mission: to ethically prosecute those who commit crimes, uphold the rights of victims and provide them with compassionate support, protect the communities we serve, collaborate with justice and community partners, and foster policies that prioritize public safety and restore public trust. We also move to reinforce innovative programs that provide opportunities for rehabilitation and reintegration, and to enhance the lives of the residents here in Alameda County. If I could have the next slide. We also have a mandate at the District Attorney's Office. There are many mandates that come in the form of requirements for prosecutors' ethics, but also we represent the people of the state of California ethically, professionally, and with integrity in criminal, civil, and juvenile matters. The DA's office will always pursue the truth, demonstrate commitment to fair and equitable justice for all, and ensure the victims of crime are treated with respect, dignity, and empathy. We can go to the next slide and skip it. It's just a little bit about me, but you guys can read that. And I just want to talk as far as about me as just what my experience is. I was at the DA's office in Alameda County for about 15 years before going to the bench as a judge for 11, and then here as Alameda County District Attorney appointed February 18th, a year tomorrow, 2025. Our branches include our Renee C. Davidson Courthouse, which is right by the lake, our Consumer Environmental and Worker Protection Division, which is close to off Hegenberger near the airport. East County Hall of Justice is out by Santa Rita Jail. Our Juvenile Justice Center is in San Leandro. Fremont Hall of Justice, of course, in Fremont. Our Victim Witness Assistance Program is spread throughout the county. We also have the Family Justice Center, which is on 27th between Telegraph and Broadway, and then Wiley Manual is right by the jail in Oakland. Next slide, please. Actually, slide after that, please. We're rebuilding community trust by strengthening the DA's office. We've launched the Regional Organized Retail Theft Task Force and established a countywide Organized Retail Theft Task Force to address repeat organized offenders. We also bolstered our operations by filling leadership positions, relaunched dormant grant and consumer protection initiatives, and began a top-to-bottom fiscal review. We also restored prosecutorial capacity by removing internal bottlenecks. Prosecutors were able to process more cases efficiently, reviewing over 22,000 referrals and increasing felony filings. And then we reaffirmed our commitment to fair and equitable justice, which focused on consistent community-informed decision-making rooted in public trust, service, and legal integrity. Next slide, please. We're also serving the survivors and supporting safety. So we advanced a gun violence prevention program. The district attorney has worked to ensure that Alameda County was one of 4 counties selected for the AB 1344 Gun Violence Restraining Order pilot program. And we were able to expand collaboration with law enforcement in providing prosecutors with a vital tool to intervene before a tragedy occurs. We've also strengthened our community stakeholder engagement by convening safety conversations with businesses, survivors, and faith leaders across Alameda County so that we could hear directly from the community what their needs and desires were. And we've protected our resources. We've been fighting against devastating budget cuts that would have further harmed victims and successfully secured new funding to protect victims to support Alameda County Family Justice Center and trauma recovery centers. Next slide, please. Actually, 2 slides to the next. So we're going to look a little bit at our stats from February 18th to December 18th. We have reviewed this number of referrals. So let me talk about what a referral is. When the police bring a police report to our office, that's really a referral. And once we get those police reports, we're required to evaluate those and determine whether or not we're going to charge those, whether or not we can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt, or whether or not they go to an alternative place, like maybe a diversion court, et cetera. So our numbers in 2025 through December, have been 12,962 misdemeanors and then 5,856 felonies. And you can see how those numbers have been fluctuating over the last years, but we have had the police department bringing more referrals to us. Some of that, I think, has to do with there was a huge charging backlog when I walked into the office, thousands of cases that had not been charged, and it is clear that both victims and police officers had some concerns about that. We have been able to work through that backlog. We don't have a backlog anymore, and so these cases are being processed in a timely manner. Next slide, please. The referral outcomes, so for misdemeanor referrals, I'll show you here from 2022 through 2025, the number of referrals, and then the police reports given an alternative action. Alternative actions can include diversion, or maybe there was a probation violation that we filed instead of a new case, and then police reports that were not charged. So for 2025 through December 18, our numbers were 7,071 police reports charged, 980 alternative actions, and then police reports not charged were 4,900. I think that's important because there are many cases that are brought to us that we cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and we have to not charge those cases. In addition to that, looking at the felony referrals, we're looking at 4,232 for 2025. And then the alternative action, 644, and police reports not charged, right under 1,000. I'll go to the next slide. We also are tracking the number of referrals we're receiving that have a gun charge involved. And so for 2025, the number of referrals that involved a gun charge were 1,432 cases, which I think is a significant number. As we know, we're dealing with a lot of gun violence in Alameda County specifically, in our neighbor city here, Oakland, and so we are tracking those numbers to see what we can best do to make sure that we can tamp down the gun violence in our community. Next slide. So our theft-related property crimes, that number of crimes filed last year has gone up to 4,627. And there's been a real push, as you know, pursuant to legislation that is charged for us to kind of look at some of the organized theft as well as property theft. And so the goal is to charge those cases and to try to figure out how we can best get some resolution for victims in the community, whether that be restitution, and also for people committing those crimes. Sometimes that might be substance abuse treatment, or it might be diversion. Next slide, please. and the ones charged, 5956 in this period of time. So the first was referrals, how many cases that we had that were theft-related property crime cases, and then this is how many that were filed during that period of time. Let me go to the next slide. We have, our goal was to serve as many new victims as possible, and we do that through many ways. We have a victim assistance program as well as the Family Justice Center that most of you probably know about. And as it relates to 2025, for that period, February 18 to December 18, we served 7,646 victims of crime. I mean, that's a big deal because that can range from any type of crime, whether it be for an attempt murder, identity theft, battery, drunk driving, violation of a protective order, domestic violence. All of those victims have been provided services. And in the blue box there, you'll see on average, we provide a total of 39 services to each victim between 22 and 25. Next slide. The work ahead. So what's ahead for us? Key priorities: developing hate crime unit. We have a hate crime grant, and the goal with that hate crime grant is to be able to teach both law enforcement and the community about what a hate crime is and also what a hate incident is, and to encourage people to report those. So we're working very hard to build up that unit. We're also restoring our human trafficking, wage theft, and labor exploitation efforts. Alameda County has been known for the work that they've done in the past in human trafficking, and as most of us know, down on what we call the Blade in East Oakland, there is basically open-air trafficking, and a lot of those victims are children. And I have tried a lot of those cases when I was a DA, and so that is near and dear to my heart, specifically because I also spent 10 of my 11 years on the bench in juvenile and at least 6 years while I was a deputy DA in juvenile. So those cases are really important to me. So we're restoring our capacity in our human trafficking unit, but also building up in our consumer division our wage theft and labor exploitation efforts as well. We're also improving and expanding our victim witness services, and so our victim witness advocates need to be well-trained to help to usher victims of crime through the process, whatever that looks like. And so depending on the crime and depending on the victim, the advocates are trained to make sure that they can help individuals through the process and to help them gain some level of agency as they seek whatever justice is for them. We're also launching our annual report, which was released of recent. If you want to scan that, you can take a look at it. But it just has a lot of information about what the DA's office has been doing over the last year. Next slide, please. We're trying to rebuild community trust, and we're committed to working alongside community leaders to improve public safety, increase trust, and ensure accountability through fair charging decisions. We've been holding town halls and safety forums, community listening sessions, and continual conversations with local leaders. I encourage you to call me, ask me to come out to any place in your community to have discussions about what the DA does and how we do it. The next slide. We've also been partnering to promote safety and justice. Neighborhood organizations are essential partners, and so we're asking for their assistance. Involvement strengthens our legal response, and we want to work together. So host a listening session or a safety forum in your community. Encourage crime reporting. If you see something, say something. Please report it. Sometimes it's difficult, but do it anyway. And share DA office resources. And so you can call us and ask us for resources, what's available to them through the district attorney's office, and we'll drop those off to you. Our next slide. This is just a slide if you want to take a photo of it, if anyone does, just all of our divisions and their contact information, but you can also find this online for the district attorney's office, and left time for any questions if you had any.
Right, I'll defer to my colleagues for any questions at this time. Seeing and hearing none. Oh, thank you. You're recognized, Councilmember Welch.
Madam District Attorney, thank you for joining us. I just had one question. If there are any new or emerging crime trends that local government officials should be aware of as we're considering policy and budget considerations?
So I mean, we've been lucky to have a down crime year. I mean, everybody across the country, crime is coming down. But I've studied crime for a long time, and it is my opinion that sometimes that is just that, luck. And so I think that what we want to do is be vigilant about our relationship between the community and law enforcement and people in your seats, people who are serving the public, to make sure that we know what's going on in the community. I don't see anything specific to Emeryville that I'm noticing that's unusual, right? And I don't see anything other than, I would say, the human trafficking piece, which is more specific to Oakland, that seems to be blooming, for lack of a better way to say it. But I think we are still concerned about gun violence. We're concerned about the number of cases we have where people are carrying a gun or there's some allegation of use of a gun. Those are probably the big things. And because you guys have Bay Street here, there's always going to be the property crimes and the theft. So we're also looking at the organized retail theft. We got a call recently from Walmart asking us if they could come down and walk one of the stores here in Alameda County and talk to us about our responses to organized retail theft. So those are the things that I would see or expect to see.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam DA, for coming to Emeryville. During my time on the Public Safety Committee, we did something really different with our numbers as it relates to reporting on how, when young people, minors, were when they were arrested, who picked them up. Was it a parent or another guardian, or if they had to be released to the system, particularly down the foster care system. And we noticed an alarming trend, which was that the majority of the young people had to be released to the foster care system. And so that is something that, and of course, many of those young people do not live in Emeryville, and so they're from the region. What are some things that your office is doing, your department is doing to address those concerns? Because as you shared, and especially from my own experience of being a foster care youth, and I know that State Senator Wahab has also made some recommendations to the county supervisors around better addressing the needs of foster care youth, because they're more than likely are going to be the ones who are going to be trafficked, and more than likely going to be the ones who are committing some of the crimes that we've talked about. What is your department doing to address that and making that distinction between young people who necessarily may have parental support and resources, and those young people who unfortunately are left sort of unprotected? Yeah.
So a couple of things. Of the 11 years I was on the bench, 10 of those years I was in juvenile, and all 10 of those years I had a court that included CPS cases or dependency cases. 4 of those years I was the presiding judge of juvenile, so I'm very aware of the trends as it relates to children who are in foster care, very aware of our shortcomings in the county as it relates to social services and foster care, and had to preside over a court that had to figure out how to make it work with those shortcomings. But it is true that system, in and of itself, the dependency system, and sometimes there's what we used to call dual jurisdiction, where a kid has been accused of committing a crime, and they're also in the foster care system, a 241.1. That system is we best serve that system in social services. So, for example, as we just talked about the trafficking cases in Oakland on the Blade, overwhelmingly, those children are what would be considered kids who are social services kids. We don't charge kids for being prostituted, right, for being sold on the streets. So those are under that umbrella. The DA has no place at that table. We're not allowed in the room. And in fact, as presiding judge of juvenile, I've thrown many a DA out of the room because all of that information is confidential. So it is an interesting thing to ask, because the DA oftentimes does not have a space and place in that. If it is one of those cases that we loosely call a dual jurisdiction. It's not really, but what we loosely call that. The DA can be in the room for certain things, but that is going to be the buildup of social services and community services that support foster care youth. Also making sure I try to go out to, there's several events for foster families, trying to pull in really good foster homes, because what has happened now with foster care is families have to meet the same criteria as a foster parent would. So it used to be, I mean, the best thing to do would be hopefully to allow a youth to go to another family member while they await whatever's going on with this juvenile justice case. That's not as easy as it used to be, because family members may have, for example, a record that they need to get in some exclusion, from the system so that they can come in. So it is not really a DA task, nor are we allowed at that table often to do that. And so I think when you ask what we do, I think our job is ultimately, because the juvenile system is supposed to be rehabilitative in nature, is ultimately for us to make sure that we are holding the systems accountable, probation and the organizations that work with probation to do the work that they do, but we can't actively get involved in those 300 or dependency cases, if that makes any sense.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Yes, to follow up. Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, and so Brooklyn, we have an office of the.
Said Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. Yeah,
Big up Brooklyn,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought I heard you.
Kings
okay.
County. Yeah, and so we have an office of the advocate at the mayor, near the mayor, and we also have youth advocates. And so we have a very comprehensive, in New York City, we have a comprehensive program that advocates, especially as it relates to foster youth who are tied to the system. And so there are those who politically, when they critique the budgeting of the Juvenile Justice Department, they'll say, well, those who if children get in trouble, right? If children get in trouble, what's going on with their families? Well, then what happens if their family is the system itself? And so then the system then provides some sort of advocacy or programming to step in during those moments when that young person may see a judge or may or after they're arrested and placed, that there is some sort of intervention that happens, and thus there is an intervention arm that is a part of the juvenile justice system in New York City, as well as other cities. And so I'm wondering if there is any specific programming or any youth advocacy that is happening wherein that young person is treated differently, and perhaps given it another opportunity, because if the system is their parent and they're getting into trouble, then the system failed. And so, which is a little bit different than if it's their parent, then we ask, well, okay, what does the parent need in terms of support? But if it's the system itself, and we all know what the system is, where there is a social worker more than likely assigned, for example, is there anything in place wherein the social worker is mandated to be connected or assigned if that young person is a child of the system? And so those are sort of questions, or a parent just decides not to show up, and so thus that child is unprotected.
So a couple of things. I'm looking at this from the perspective of both 602 or juvenile justice cases and 300 or dependency cases, and that dual place, that 241.1. So those answers are going to be different potentially for each of those, right? As it relates to 300s or dependency cases, CPS cases alone, I think we seem to forget, and oftentimes for 602 as well, just because a child is removed from the home doesn't mean that the parents, we're not in the process of trying to actively reunify children with their families. So we say that the system is their parent, but in fact, oftentimes the children are being removed from the parent. That's how they get into either of these systems, and they were in the home of the parent when all this started, right? And so the goal is to make sure that we infuse services into the family, or I'm saying we, when I was on the bench, not the DA, but that the county, that social services, that the court, that EBCO, the attorneys for the children, that the parents' attorneys are all acting in the best interest of the child. That is the standard that the court has to look at, what's in the best interest of the child. And so oftentimes that means this parent potentially who is still addicted and is abusive to the child is not the best home, but what we're doing is providing a therapeutic intervention. Parents are in therapy, child is in therapy, we're trying to reunify this family. And in fact, any foster parent has to commit to making sure that they're fostering that reunification. And if they don't, I would remove a child if I were on the bench from that family, because that is the primary goal, is to get a child back home. And not every household looks the same. It doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be right. And so that is where the court used to see itself when I was in that space. And so I think to answer your question, when you're asking about like where I am right now, in this spot as a DA, that's a harder question to answer. I'm talking to you from a space that I miss a little bit, but it's all still very close to me. That was my world for 10 years, making sure that we are building capacity up, making sure that EBCLO, the attorneys who represent the children, have those resources in place, making sure that probation as well as social services has created the independent living programs, has created therapeutic groups for the kids who are there, so on and so forth. So it's not a question that I think is a question for the DA to answer, but I'm answering it as a human in my community who has some experience. Do I think the county has some work to do around social services? Sure. Do I think that there are organizations that are amply suited to provide those safety nets for kids? Absolutely. Do I think we need to build that capacity? Sure. And do I think we can? Yes. And do I think we need to fund it? Absolutely. Like, we could go on and on. But from the DA's spot, this is not a place where I can legislate that, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Any other?
Any further questions? Councilmember Pryforce.
Yeah, thank you. One last question. It's a lighter one. Around the community listening forum, have you considered exploring having one here? I believe that we tried once in Emeryville, and it was just difficult to find a public space to have something like that. But we would love to invite. We had Congressional Member Latifah Simon have a forum in Emeryville, and it was well attended, and she was greeted with a lot of love. And even though some of the more serious public safety issues are happening with our neighboring cities, I think the people of Emeryville would really appreciate just to get some sort of update and interaction with their DA, especially even to learn, like, because they may not be paying attention to what happens here in council chambers, but just to learn of some of the exciting things happening that we've done to update our public safety measures that you may or may not be aware of from the top of your head. And so, so we would love to invite you.
Absolutely. Maybe we can do it at Doyle Street Cafe. Maybe they'll give us their space for after lunch, but absolutely. And I can make sure that we're connected so that we can set it up.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from me?
Anything further? There is nothing further. Really appreciate your time and coming here in inclement weather conditions with your bag. Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to go to council member special announcements, reports, or meeting attendance. Any council member special announcements, reports on meeting attendance? Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to move on to city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor. There is no city manager report this evening.
Thank you, city manager. Any ex parte communications? Seeing and hearing none, we are going to go to public comment for consent agenda and items not on agenda. Please come forth. Welcome, Fran.
Do I have 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Fran Quattel. I live in Emeryville, and I serve on 2 committees in the city. And I want to mention that the deficit for the city of Berkeley is $29 million for the upcoming fiscal year, and for the city of Oakland, $265 million for the upcoming fiscal year. And we have a deficit of about $10 million for each of the next 2 years. When Brian Moore spoke to council and the city manager about the two-year budget. He talked about the city revenues being projected at 116.5 million, and the general fund is about 65 million, or 56% of this annual total. Sales tax is one of the biggest drivers of general fund revenue, if not the biggest driver. So when we invite businesses to come here, we want them to be successful, and we want them to be able to handle customers, even if those customers need to come here with an automobile, because we in this city need sales tax in order to support our budget. And I want really to emphasize to all branches of the city, every department, the city manager, every member of council, Public Works, that every single entity must work together so that our budget and our deficits and the businesses and people who live here and work here can get to this goal of financial stability in our community. I'll probably say this over and over again. I hope you'll forgive me. I serve on 2 committees that have to do with finance, and I hope that you will make a sincere effort to work together on this one goal, financial stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Next, we have the consent calendar. Any motions on the consent calendar? Thank you. Any second on the motion to approve the consent calendar by Councilmember Welch?
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Welch and seconded by Councilmember Pryforce. Please take roll.
Councilmember Mora is absent. Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Solomon?
Aye.
And Mayor Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have public hearings. There are none. No action items. Any department head reports?
No report for me this evening.
No department head reports. Any future agenda item requests? Councilmember Pryforce.
Then our nation is in mourning today with the passing of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And last year, I placed on future agenda item that every Black History Month, as we celebrate, that we recite the Black National Anthem, which is "Lift Every Voice and Sing." This past week has been a very busy week for my voice, so I will not be singing it this time around. But I do want to place before the council consideration that whether it's be sung or just recited, that "Lift Every Voice and Sing" be shared amongst the city council, at least as we close Black History Month, which I will read the first of the group of lyrics, which is to lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of faith that the dark past has brought, that has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. And so I present to the council us sharing the Black National Anthem once a year during Black History Month. Yes.
Councilmember Welch.
If it's agreeable to Councilmember Pryforce, Madam Clerk, because we do have a standing proclamation, is that something that can be edited into our standing proclamation so it can be read while we do our annual proclamation for Black History Month?
Yes, if the majority of council wants that, we can certainly do that.
Councilmember Pryforce, would you be agreeable to add it to our proclamation?
Thank you, Councilmember Welsh. Yes, I would be amenable to that. Thank you.
We are all in favor. Council Vice Mayor Matthew Solomon?
Is that something we decide right now, or would that have to go to?
Yes, it's a
Budget and
future
Governance?
agenda item, and Councilmember Welch has proposed it as an addition to the annual proclamation for the Black History Month.
I don't,
And
just
there
a
is majority support for it.
point of clarification, does it need to be a future agenda item, or can that just be something that we add?
Thank you. Through the mayor, in response to your question, Councilmember Welch, staff, you can just give direction to staff to add it to the proclamation for Black History Month.
Thank you, City Attorney. In that case, please add it. Any other future agenda items? Councilmember Pryforce?
As I've shared, that for future agenda items, I will encourage that we add land acknowledgement in our proceedings. That I believe is more than just symbolism. It's a step towards us thinking and rethinking our policies around acknowledging the indigenous people and the Ohlone people of Emeryville, particularly around the development with the Shell Mound. And so but it starts with land acknowledgement. And so I present before the council my request to be placed on future agenda, a discussion around adding land acknowledgement to our proceedings.
Is there majority support? Seeing none, the item fails. Any other future agenda item requests? Councilmember Pryforce?
I present to the body the Pledge of Allegiance to return to the council member chambers, which I will demonstrate. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, the under God became the issue during the last discussion around the Pledge of Allegiance, but I believe that the Pledge of Allegiance can be done without the under God to make it more universal and inclusive, since the under God was only recently added a couple of decades ago to the Pledge of Allegiance. But I think in tribute to our persons in uniforms, and all those serving overseas, and just in recognition of our fight for democracy, that the Pledge of Allegiance be recited during council proceedings. And so that's what I present to be placed on a future agenda item for discussion.
Any support for this item? Seeing none, the item fails. It is now 8:11 p.m. This meeting of the City Council is hereby adjourned.